Hi, this is Erin and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage, and we have the show y'all have been waiting for. We have Zoe Williams. He is a relationship expert. He is our modern day philosopher. He is an author of several books that you guys would love to have for your life portfolio.
Okay.
And he's a critical aspect of our community. We need him.
So I just wanted to say about Zoe. I mean, I've been following Zoe probably since 2015. I refer to Zoe as the OG. You know, I know you're out there in LA, you know, but you know, when I say the OG, I mean the older guy. He'll be putting us on with knowledge and stuff like that. And you know, I follow a podcast. It's called Drink Champs. And Nori, he has a saying that he's made popular: give people their flowers while they can smell them. So wow. Zoe is the guy. That's the older guy right here. He's gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about relationships and building wealth and how they coincide and how important it is to have, you know, some kind of, what would you say, symbiotic between them. So go ahead, I'll let you start with the question.
So Zoe, what we would really like and what the audience has really been asking for is give them from a relationship expert standpoint, the correlation between wealth and relationships, because a lot of people think they don't need a relationship to be wealthy.
Well, here's the thing. Riches, you know, you could say riches is about materialism, accumulating things, houses, cars, money. I see that as riches, right? Or I define that as riches, you know, materialistic things. Wealth is two things: the quality of your health and then the quality of your relationships can be distinguished as being wealthy. See, you cannot have all of the materialistic things that riches bring, you know, like the fancy house, the fancy car, you know, the fancy clothes, money. You can have all of that and still be exceedingly wealthy in terms of being loved, first by self and then by others. But I think in this society, people are conditioned to think having things is better or more meaningful, listen to what I'm about to say, than having self. Most people will sell themselves because A, they've never met themselves, B, they've never approved of themselves, they've never accepted themselves, they've never loved themselves. So it's something that they could sell, right? When we look at the word dignity, right? The word dignity itself means worth. So how many people sell what little self-worth they have in order for more things? See, that's the accumulation of riches. Wealth is the development of self, and then seeing that development or attracting that development, you know, in another person, like of the same level of development. Can you imagine you get better, the quality of your relationships get better, right? But most people don't see that because this is not something that is practiced. This is not something that is taught. You know, self-approval, self-acceptance leads to the mirror reflection of that in relationships. So wealth has a lot to do with the quality of your relationships, not the acquiring of riches. To me, that's something different. But then on a social level, being in a relationship with somebody and having the money, you know, the disposable income to be able to go on vacations, to be able to, you know, go to dinner, movies, you know, do nice things, that's good too. But you can't let those superficial actions become the opioid of the relationship, meaning you can't get addicted to those things happening. And if those things don't happen, you say, oh, well, this relationship is a failure. This guy is broke. This guy is this or that. Then you really have to realize what kind of relationship you're in. You're in a what I call a passive aggressive prostitution type relationship. Now it's transactional. I'm here. I have to get something. What are you getting? What are you giving? Do you see what I'm saying? It's really sad that society has done this to us, but that's who we are today.
So you've been doing this for a really long time. If you could pinpoint some of the things within the timeline that have really denigrated relationships, especially between the Black man and the Black woman, what do you think some of those things are? And what are some of the solutions to kind of get marriage back on track for the Black man and the Black woman, to get the families back on track?
Well, first off, just as a former A&R, I remember the thematic shift in music. I remember the shift. Hip hop was fun, right? First in the 80s, it started as fun. And I'm not blaming hip hop. What I'm saying is something happened that let the lowest levels of our culture have access to this artistic medium, right? I'm not solely blaming hip hop, but I'm just saying I saw it shift. And when you got to understand, music has power over the mind. It's creativity. It takes you to another place. So unfortunately, when I saw hip hop shift to gangster music exclusively, and then the gangster music ushered in drug music, and drug music ushered in the stripper culture, and all of this stuff started to just, and then it all gets labeled as art. But then nobody, while all this is happening, and yes, we're expressing ourselves, no disrespect to anybody that's doing it, but while all of this is happening, nobody says the famous line, does life imitate art, or is art imitating life, right? And so you have to remember, man, we have children out here that are vulnerable, that are susceptible to what they see through the media, through social media. And I remember a time there was a little bit more responsibility as it pertained to that. Now, anything and everything is available, right, for consumption, regardless of age, right? So I just think that's where we are on that side, on the cultural side, on the music side. In terms of relationships, I go back to Dr. Joy DeGruy's work, post-traumatic slave syndrome. There are a lot of unhealed wounds that have created ideological coping mechanisms for how we relate to each other, right? So the underbelly of our culture is infused into the music culture, right? The dysfunction that PTSS, right, post-traumatic slave syndrome, offers is now a creative component to the music. Now we're entranced by the music. It's money, clothes, and hoes. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the acquiring of wealth. It's the objectification of men and women. Women objectify men based on their wallet. Men objectify women based on their bodies. If you a bad bitch, hey, what's cracking? I got bread. Bread and bad bitch go together like peanut butter and jelly. You see what I'm saying? I'm too bad for you to be broke, brother. So, do you see what I'm saying? And this is what has happened to our culture. There was a time when we were the authors of ourselves. In other words, we wrote our own marriage ceremony.
Yes.
In other words, we had our own ideation of who and what God is. We had our own concept of what philosophy was, right? The whole story of our lives and our realities reflected one another. Now, we are ideological wards of the people who not only envy us and coveted our position, but subjugated us. And so now they set the standard and the tone for everything, whether it's medicine, philosophy, history, religion, culture, economics. They set the tone, and now we're running, chasing after them, and then measuring each other by the tone, or by the standard they established. So, you know, some people say, I mean, I'm tired of people saying trauma this and trauma that. You just got to get over it. You got to, and you don't know anything about the holographic, you know, relationship, or you don't know anything about the holographic universe that we live in, right? Any and everything you've ever been through is encoded within you, everywhere. So what do we do with all of this stuff? What do you mean encoded? Yes, encoded. The holographic relationship, whole graphic writing, whole writing, your whole story is written all over you. And you see, well, maybe you don't see it, but I'll give you the example. You'll hear people say, or you'll hear doctors say, what happened? Am I the host? What happened? Are we gone? Are you guys still, okay. Hopefully you guys are still with me. Are you guys still with me? Ah, man, did I lose them? Are they gone?
We lost you just a little bit. So I just want you to backtrack to the people who held us in the highest esteem.
Yes.
They coveted what we wanted. They subjugated us. Let me just make sure it's recording. It's recording. And I can edit it, make it real clean.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure we were still there. I was like, what happened? Where did we go? No, but what I was saying to tie up that point, right? And you know, I was basically saying relationships are holographic. And the reason why they're holographic is because holo means whole, graphic means writing, whole writing, right? And being that your whole story comes with you into relationship, you cannot marginalize or minimize. Listen to what I'm about to say. You cannot marginalize or minimize trauma and what you modeled. Your whole story follows you. You hear John Bowlby in attachment theory talking about how everything follows you, right? Your attachment style follows you. You hear other clinicians talking about the style of your communication in your particular home goes with you into your adult relationships. So John Bowlby and Ainsworth talked about attachment style following you. Like I said, your communication style that you modeled from your home follows you. You hear people say sometimes, oh, my family, we used to tell jokes. We used to joke on each other all the time, right? Well, you know, other people's families may not be that way, might be sensitive to joke, you know. So we model all of these things and we carry it with us. Trauma works the same way. This is why I say it's holographic. It's a whole writing that goes with you. You hear some medical doctors also say that, and this is very interesting, every sexual partner you've ever been with comes with you. So it's holographic. Life is holographic. What does that mean, Zoe? Until you reconcile what you modeled in your inception. You hear Bill Lipton author of The Biology of Belief, saying for the first 7 years of your life, that's where everything is pre-recorded. That's how you have recorded everything you're going to be from 0 to 7. And then for the rest of your life, you're playing it out and trying to reconcile everything you recorded during that time. Well, we could say that that time is imprint vulnerability. And that means the whole story for that first 7 years, whatever happened within that first 7 years, is going to manifest itself holographically in your interactions. Your whole story goes with you, regardless of you putting your best foot forward, regardless of you wearing the Carl Jung mask to cover, right, whatever darkness is in you. Again, relationships are designed to reveal that, regardless of the behavioral performance you put on. See, let me just say, man, relationships are easy to talk about, right? Because everybody is in them. You're a human being. You're designed to be in relationships. So everybody feel like, you know, they could talk about relationships, and they can, because everybody is an expert of their particular experience, right? Nobody can be an expert of your experience. So everybody is talking about it. But the problem with this immense amount of talk, rarely do you find someone who has done the immense amount of self-work to be able to say, here is a loose blueprint. It's loose for you, but it's tight for me because it was born out of my perspective. You can take, this is Bruce Lee again, take what you can use and leave the rest, right? So, but what happens is we're in a society of people who are self-lazy. They don't want to read, they don't want to do the research, they don't want to study, they don't want to immerse themselves in how to heal themselves. What they want to do is YouTube shop. They shopping for jewels. They shopping for quotes. Yeah. I ain't never heard nobody frame it that way. So they take it and present it as themselves, right? And if their platform happens to be a little bigger than the person they're stealing all of their talking points from, then they get to look like they presented the thought first. See, self-work will lead you to this place where you go, wow, I am a bag person. I have carried all of this stuff with me. I have cultivated coping mechanisms that are designed to manipulate and control my partner to fit in a box that will put me at ease so I can open up and be vulnerable. So my wound is safe around this person. But see, what you don't realize is the person is supposed to exacerbate the wound, so it sends an indicator to you that the wound is not healed. Coping mechanisms just make the wound comfortable. You don't want, here, have a seat. Here's a pillow. Here, you want some tea? You don't want to do that to the wound. What you want to do is look at the wound. This is how you heal. You look at the wound without judgment. You accept the wound without criticism. You embrace the wound with unconditional love. Do you know how many people beat themselves up internally and judge themselves because they haven't been able to forgive themselves for whatever minor role or inconsequential role that they played in something? Or maybe even they played a major role. Maybe they played a significant role. But the bottom line is there is much grace and there is much growth in the embracing right? Of what you co-created, of the wounds that still exist in your spirit. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, those wounds are not only holographic, they're magnetic. They're gonna pull in what I call situation shifts. Not a situation ship. Oh, I'm in a situation ship. Somebody made a song and next thing you know, it's a word. So I said, let's change it and give it some real meaning. Situation shift. You get in a situation shift, which is designed to shift your consciousness for better or for worse, depending on you accepting the work that the person is reflecting back to you. Why is it that your partner can trigger you when other people can't?
Other people be triggering me.
You see what I'm saying? No, but I'm saying your partner knows exactly where every button is.
Right.
They know the secret buttons. They know the button in your shoe. They know everything organically. And what I told people was, yo, we compatible. Yes. Oh, me and my man or me and my girl, we compatible. And I say, are your wounds compatible? See, because you don't look that deep. You say you're compatible based on what you think. But let me tell you, you're going to always attract somebody whose triggers are also compatible, whose wounds are compatible. And those wounds are designed to irritate each other, to trigger each other, so they can come to your consciousness so you could go, all right, I got a choice. I can either choke this motherfucker. Okay, but if I choke them, I'm gonna go to jail. That's domestic violence charge. Okay. Okay, but I don't like talking to people. This is you talking to you, but you gotta talk to you gotta talk to me. At some point, you're gonna have to have a conversation. You see, that's why you guys trigger each other. So you guys can come to this level of consciousness to where you can make a conscious choice and produce a conscious response instead of an unconscious reaction.
Okay.
This is how you grow up spiritually. This is what relationships are actually designed for. I know Applebee's got them short ribs and everybody want to go. And I know there's there's hometown buffet, all you can eat. I know the new Thor movie is out, Love and Thor, whatever. I know that there are so many distractions and stimulations associated with what we define as a good relationships, right? When I say a stimulation, doing things, but I'm telling you, your being is more important than your doing. This is why most people don't relate on a level to where there's mutual acceptance of each other, right? We're accepting a promissory note that you can deliver on outcomes we're most concerned with. We're dating outcomes, and we're unaware that our triggers are dating. We're unaware that our triggers are married. We're unaware that our triggers are cohabitating. So in order to not deal with the triggers, let's go do. The only way you can deal with your triggers is through your being. Sit with self. Accept who self is. Nah, I don't want to do that. That's hard work. And it's intangible. How do I know I'm growing? You know what? I'd rather create I'd rather create a whole bunch of principles and stipulations that say my partner has to accept me. It's a deal breaker if they don't accept me. I'm not going to deal with the fact that I don't accept me. Right? I'm going to write another principle or standard. They have to love me. I'm not going to deal with the fact that I don't really love me. There are aspects of me that I don't accept and or love unconditionally. My partner gotta make me feel good. I'm not gonna deal with the fact, right, that happiness is an inside job. Self-esteem, self-worth, self-approval, self-acknowledgement, all of the things that we make standard. Self-respect. My partner got to respect me. No. What if you don't respect you? How you gonna have negative self-talk towards yourself and expect your partner not to have negative self-talk towards you? Your partner don't have to see you kicking your own ass. It's an energy, it's a frequency, it's a vibration. So if you have an inner struggle and you think, man, my Carl Jung mask game is so cold, my partner never will be able to see the real me. I'm gonna keep this facade up. But the energy is holographic and the energy is seeping through. The energy is everywhere, right? You think because you're well put together and you present well and you answer you answer the questions right under pressure, that the energy of self-doubt, the energy of low self-esteem, the energy of negative self-talk, all of that stuff still isn't permeating outward. That is the holographic relationship. The whole of you, regardless of how you try to obfuscate it, regardless of how you try to cover it, is permeating outward on an energetic frequency, vibrational level to all those you interact with. You can have your whole life together on paper. But when y'all get in that, what was the girl from the movie, the TV show, She's Gotta Have It? What did she call her room? The love making bed, or what did she call it? When y'all get intimate, do you know there's a transference of this holographic energy? All a woman got to do is have sex with a man and wait 72 hours. That's all she got to do. If she feel different, like if she is self-aware, but first, well, that's the first step. First, she would have to be entrenched in her own knowledge of self. But she takes on some of his stuff. If he's controlling, manipulative, argumentative, if he's passive aggressive, if any weirdness in him gonna show up in her 72 hours later. It's holographic. It's holographic. If he's anxious in his mind, anxiety will descend on her 72 hours later. See, people think I can hide behind this wallet. I can hide behind anything. Can't nobody really see me. Wrong. You got to do is spend a little time with people. That energy will start to balance itself.
Well, so Zoe, I got a question for you. You know, in our show and in our business and stuff like that, we are advocates of people living abroad, seeing the arbitrage we get. But what we noticed is once we moved abroad and moved out of the United States, it was like what she likes to say, we were living in a bubble, and it allowed our our marriage to grow and compound, and you know, it just didn't have all the things that were going on in the United States. You know, we're kind of like in a rural area, and we can just really focus on ourselves and each other. Is that something? I mean, what do you think about that?
That's exactly what I was talking about. When you are conditioned a certain way, you don't know. I mean, that's your normal. You don't know that it's counterproductive. for your spiritual maturation.
Right.
So you went abroad to get outside of a bubble that you were conditioned in. You had to learn new social game rules by living abroad because they got different laws and rules and culture.
Mm-hmm.
So their culture was different. You couldn't just be American. You had to figure out how to be whatever you were over there. Even if it wasn't about emulation, it was about educating yourself on who these people are and how they get down culturally. And that actually extrapolated you out of where you were cultured, and then it broadened your perspective. It expanded your perspective. And then you felt like, man, there's a pressure off of me because we ain't got to fake the funk. What is it? The Joneses, trying to be like the Joneses and trying to do all of the things that we were cultured to do as normal to express that we're interested in something. None of that stuff mattered when you went abroad. You guys were operating in a different space.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably opened up a window for you guys to be able to see each other clearly. Right? We see through the filter of our families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We see through the filter of family trauma. We see through the filter of our community. We see through the filter of community trauma. All of them have social game rules. We see through the filter of the nation and its national traumas. But then we see through the filter of our religion. We see through the filter of our politics. We see through all of these filters. And what is filtered, you might think a filter clarifies something, but in reality, it can, but it doesn't, depending on what the filter is. Like if the filter is traumatic, then the filter clouds it, right? If you're seeing through a clouded filter based on unhealed wounds, man, you're going to behave a different way. You're going to have different kinds of expectations and demands. Let me tell you something. When you grow up spiritually, you begin to command things into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Demanding goes out the window, right? Demanding just goes right out the window. Command. In other words, I don't even have to ask. It comes to me by virtue of what I am. Listen, by virtue of what I am, as opposed to by virtue of what I do. Most intimate relationships are doing based.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being based. Do what you did to get her. Now you got to keep doing that in order to keep her. Do what you did. When is it going to be enough doing and you start to appreciate me and I start to appreciate you for who and what we are currently? Because if we're always a work in progress, then that means if I focus on the work you haven't done, I'm going to be dissatisfied.
Right.
But if I look back at the wins you've had and the steps you've made to evolve, then I can always look at something and go, man, you've come a long way. Sister, you've come a long way. Oh my God, I'm so proud of how far you've come. And I'm just on the outside looking in. I can't tell you what it would feel like or how far you've actually come from your standpoint, but from over here, you look like you're doing a good job. Nah, most of us will focus on what you haven't done, but you still need to figure out how to communicate when you get upset. Yes, you've come a long way, but that cussing you be doing when you get mad, we get. Do you see what I'm saying? We tend to focus on what we want out of the deal. And then what we want is usually connected to a particular type of behavior or action from the outside. So I would say, yes, man, go abroad, study, learn other cultures, read different philosophies, read different religions, expand your philosophy. Because when your philosophy expands, your expectation of your partner becomes more flexible. The smaller your worldview, the more inflexible your expectations for others become.
Okay, so I got a question for you too. It's a little off topic, but it's still about living abroad. So not too long ago, recently, I seen that your son, shout out to the young lion,
Yes.
was playing professional basketball in Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Is that correct? How did he receive that? Like, how did he experience living over there?
He's my son.
I mean, you know, I got what I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I love my baby boy. So, I mean, I raised my babies, man, to understand who they are in this culture,
Mm-hmm.
to understand what it means to be Black,
Mm-hmm.
to understand what it means to, you know, be raised with both parents,
Mhm.
to understand what it means to have parents who fight for you, who advocate for you, to have parents to understand what it means to have parents that will hold you accountable. One big thing with him, you know, I used to tell him, you know, nothing is free. I would tell him that nothing is free. I was like, even the information I'm giving you is not free. I had to pay something for it, right? You know, some kind of failure came my way, and I learned from that failure. Some type of mistake came my way, and then I learned from that mistake. And now I'm giving it to you, and it feels like it's free. I said, but it's not free until it's going to feel like it's free until you apply it to something, and then you're going to see what it costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always tell him, take nothing for granted. You know, I was like, you know, take nothing for granted. If you want something, you're going to have to work 10 times harder than the next guy. I'd always say, evaluate who the best player is, and your job is to tame the best player. So we did this in AAU, we did this in high school, we did this in college. I said, well, go in and look around, see who the top dog is. And when you locate him, your job is to tame him, both offensively and defensively. On defense, you lock his ass up. On offense, you give him buckets. And that's just the academic, athletic side of it. The real world side, I taught him about our culture. I taught him about who we are, everywhereans, as I like to say. Right? We're from everywhere on the planet that's significant. Every culture, melanated people seeded those cultures. So him, my youngest son, my daughter, they are all aware of who they are. And this is what disappointed him so much about the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Because they're cultured differently over there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in terms of race,
Yeah.
you know, and their contentious relationship with the brothers on the other side of the island.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
And that light skin, we not Black shit, you know. So that bothered him a little bit, because they even created a distinction between Dominicans and African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, that, you know, it was a new experience to him. He did not understand what we brothers, we all brothers. There's a Dominican braiding my hair right now. Like, no, they not, you know. So he had to understand that. They brought him over as a booster.
Okay.
Now he's a professional ball player, but they brought him over as a booster. I said, "No, what is a booster?" Oh, I'm just here to boost their team.
Okay.
So just even the framing, it's their team.
Mhm.
You're here to boost their team up. So the officials are Dominican, the coaches are Dominican, the players are Dominican, and they really don't want to see you outplay them
Mm.
as an African American. They don't want to see, they don't want it to be like, it's because of this African American that we won the title.
Right. Okay.
No, they see him as a basketball vitamin.
Mm.
He's a supplement.
Mhm.
And when you shine too much over there and you're not Dominican, and in one way I respect it, right? In one way, it's like all Dominican, all day, all Dominican. It's us against the world. Part of me respects that. But the other part of me goes, do you not know how you got there to the island of Hispaniola? Like, do you not know your history? Do you not know your bloodline?
Right.
You know, but, you know, it was, you know, a learning situation for him. He had to go through some growing pains. I mean, they stopped passing him the ball at one point because he was leading the league in scoring at like 27 points a game. It says, you know what? No, he's not Dominican. Stop passing the ball. In one game, they were down by 1. They stole the ball, 5 seconds left. He runs to the corner. He had already hit 8 threes in this game. Just throw him the ball in the corner. He wide open. He'll win the game. His own teammate, who was a Dominican, goes, "Hey, I haven't scored yet. I'm a go score." And he went to score a 2-pointer when they needed the 3 to win the game. So he scored his 1 point. He scored his 2 points, and we lost by 1. We needed the 3 to win. But not even thinking basketball, he's thinking Dominican.
Right.
So it's just crazy, man. That's just, but he loved it, by the way.
So his experience was mostly framed by, what would you say, his basketball experience, or did he also have just problems or anything like that, just in his daily activities, going out, get food, stuff like that?
Nah.
That
He didn't have,
problematic?
he didn't have none of that.
Okay.
You know? And what I told him to do, because he's initiated into Ifa, I told him, connect with the family on the island that's also Ifa.
Mm-hmm.
They could be voodoo, they could be a different variation of it, Santeria, they could be whatever, but connect to them on that level, and you might find that you have a different level of camaraderie once they understand that you might be connected to their spiritual practices. So, he's about to go back, ironically. So
Though, that's interesting, and not to get off topic, but our family is Caribbean. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a first generation American.
Oh,
if I was to go back to Guyana, they would not accept me. I would be a Yankee, right?
Oh, wow.
So that theme that you're talking about, and I know Tariq Nasheed is a very good friend of yours, that's a pervasive theme with the non-FBA versus FBA, the us versus them. And the lack of understanding that FBAs often help to progress the things that you're trying to do, and we should work together in doing them. Now, the Caribbeans ain't gonna be feeling what I'm saying, but I do want to tag this on to a new point, because you have the same weird dynamic I'm noticing in relationships where there is and you often talk about transaction relationships. The first time I actually heard the concept was through you. Simon and I were watching your show, and you were talking about transactional relationships. And in building anything, wealth building, family building, you're building anything, it requires the cooperation between the two people. We often hear I want this, I want that, I want the third, I need you to do this, you need to be able to do that, you need to be able to do the third. You rarely hear that person then say, and this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna bring, this is what I'm gonna contribute.
Right.
So I'm kind of wondering what your thoughts are on why there seems to be, especially in our community, that lack of cooperativeness between two parties to get something important done, whether it's basketball, like in this particular example we were talking, or even in a relationship to build a family, to build wealth. What is it about, I want to say almost the psychology or the mindset that there's that huge lack of cooperativeness?
Because it's hard to have cooperation when there's competition.
Mm,
We are a competitive people because scarcity dominates our minds.
mm,
We think there's not enough. I mean, it's the same thing I just said, when talking to my son, on the basketball side, go in there, find out who's the best player and take his food.
I take his food. I like that. Take his food. I like that.
Take his food. I told him that when he was a kid because we live in a competitive society. Think of it. The NBA only has 400 jobs.
mhm,
You got to take somebody food,
mhm.
Yeah.
right? So in relationships, very transactional. I need to get something out of this situation, or I will find someone who will give me what I desire. Then you have to say, well, now watch this. What merits that you should get what you desire? Well, if it's a woman, she's going to say, I'm 5'10", or I'm 5'6", or I'm 5'5", or I'm brown. I got a small waist. I'm proportioned. And then when you see her and you go, oh, wow, she's fine. She's a baddie. Beauty and booty serves as a type of relationship currency.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right? For men, men are not going to tolerate an ugly woman making demands. Right? But look, let's go deeper. Who determines what's ugly? Typically, white folk again.
Mhm.
Right? White folk be like, if your face is not symmetrical, are you saying if your face is round? Like Africans, like African Americans, like, because there's a roundness to there's a fullness to our lips, a fullness to our nose. Right? Well, if you don't have the classic features, right?
Mhm.
So we'll judge women based on beauty, which is a standard that we didn't create for the most part.
Right.
Not knowing that every phenotype on the planet Earth came from Black folk, every single one, thin lips, thin noses, blue eyes, green eyes, all this came from Black folk. White folk created none of these things, not any of them. They all manifested out of us. But you don't know that because just like your relationship style is modeled by the toxic society in which you live, so is your beauty standards. There's a reason why bleach cream is the #1 cosmetic, what is the word I'm looking for? Product.
Mhm.
The #1 cosmetic product, which is crazy to me, like it's bananas, but it's the #1 cosmetic product in the third world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? So that means your beauty standards have been compromised by your racist oppressors. Let's just keep it for real, for real. Your racist oppressors have compromised your beauty standards. So beauty and beauty is a type of currency in a transactional relationship. Then on the flip side, The brother ain't gotta be cute. On the flip side, if the brother got bread, if the brother got that paper, it's a whole different discussion, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that it's that way, but that's what it is.
Mm.
It's unfortunate. It saddens me to hear it, but that's what it is.
That's deep. Now I have something, Zoe. I have we have something that we going back and forth about that I would like you to clear up. You know, since you the OG, the older guy, however you however you say that it goes, I'll take it. Right? I like to use a lot of sports references, and you are from LA. We used to say we work as a team, right?
Mhm.
And I say, you know, I reference us as I'm Kobe Bryant and she's Derek Fisher. And she doesn't care for that. He does not care for that. But I say, hey, Derek Fisher was very integral in
Yes, he
winning
was.
championships, but she
Yes,
doesn't
he
care
was.
for the Derek Fisher reference. And so you tell me, am I wrong? Where did I go wrong there?
Well, let's ask, why doesn't she care for the Derek Fisher reference?
She's not a big sports fan, so you know it kind of feels like, you know, she's like,
She
well, I
feels
can't
like
be
a
Kobe and Shaq.
downgrade, like Derek Fisher ain't nowhere near Kobe Bryant. What you talking about? You tripping?
Exactly. And it's not Jordan and Pippen. It's not Kobe and Shaq. I even said Ghost and Raekwon, and he's like,
She wants parody. I say,
I want parody.
Derek Fisher was a very important part. I mean, he hit game winners, man. It was. I'm a Lakers fan. He hit game winners. Derek Fisher was thorough.
So what Derek Fisher was, and she might agree with this.
Okay.
She might agree with this. What Derek Fisher was for that team, number one, he was a leader. See, Kobe became a better kind of leader later on. And he learned a lot of his leadership from Derek Fisher.
Like that.
So Derek Fisher was the focal piece. He was the one that would make the piece where there was beef on the team. He's a Leo, so his leadership qualities always shone through. Derek is August 9th, Leo, so he's a natural leader. He would come in, settle the team down, give them direction, give them advice. Derek was, I mean, you got to remember, Derek was also the president of the Players Union too, because the rest of the league respected Derek like that, right? Then Derek wasn't the greatest basketball player, but he contributed to a high-level team with two all-time superstars in significant moments in their championship runs. Against San Antonio, the 0.4 shot. If he don't hit that shot, we don't beat San Antonio. Derek knocked that shot down and took us past San Antonio. Derek hit a number of big three-point shots in all levels of, I would say, playoff and championship basketball. Derek Fisher was significant. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, see, so my analogy wasn't
A slight.
Yeah, she
Well, look, it wasn't a slight. He just gave you a lesser dynamic player, but that doesn't mean the brother wasn't significant.
Anyways, though, our audience.
He's like, enough of Derek Fisher and the Lakers.
Did you have another question for him?
I had one more question.
Show related.
Yeah, but if you wanted to ask a question, I had one more.
No, because you know our audience loves to read, so I was gonna.
Okay, I got one more question. So in our platform, our business, we, like I talked about earlier, we like to we promote looking at options of living abroad, right? The arbitrage of living abroad. and like you said, learning. But in this culture, you have the ADOS and the FBA, and we get pushback on our platform as far as, well, you guys are fleeing, you guys are running, and we're going to stay here and fight. And my position is, it's just a chess move. You know, if we see opportunity abroad, we will take that opportunity and you know, to build for our family. What would be your position on that?
I'm confused. You can't support and do both?
That's what I think. That's what I think. But you know, just the people that we talk to say, well, no, you should stay here in the United States and fight. And we say, well, we want to go abroad and just take advantage of some of these opportunities.
In order
Just
to
trying to
really
understand,
garner
like,
that generational wealth.
you can't fight by establishing homes in other countries. I'm saying you could do both. I don't see, we have listen, man. I know both the founders of both of those organizations, and they're both good people to me. But it seems like the people that follow get in this zealot kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And it becomes, it's either this or that. And it's like, you speaking as an authority, but do you know these brothers who
Right.
created these movements that you now are an enlisted soldier in? Like, listen, man, like, you can't, I tend to not have conversations with people that are unwilling to see a bigger picture.
Okay.
So that's just my whole get down. I don't have conversation with an unwilling ear.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to say that. You have an unwilling ear. In me, you're gonna have an unwilling speaker.
Okay.
I ain't gonna have nothing to say about it. Like, but I suggest you continue to do what's best for your family in terms of, if there are business situations in other countries, places for you to establish a homestead in other countries, that's going to help you build wealth. Continue to build wealth. Because these are the same people that might say something like, man, I'm getting ready to leave America because it's crazy. Well, you ain't did nothing to set that up to be able to say, let me get up out of here if I need to.
True. This is very true.
So that's all. Like, why can't it be both, brothers? Like, why they you got to stay here, fight and die right here.
Right where you stand.
Why does it have to be so extreme? These are the same brothers who will skip past that passage, brothers and sisters, whoever would say it. And I'm not here to besmirch or disrespect them either. I'm here to add context and expand the conversation. Did you skip past the part in The Art of War by Sun Tzu that said the highest form of war is to not fight at all? Because you deep, you read 48 Laws of Power. Right? A white man who took spiritual principles and applied them to being manipulative and mercenary. That's what the 48 Laws of Power book is, written by Robert Greene. It takes spiritual concepts and turns them into, this is how you manipulate to come up. Right? Spiritual concept between the student and the teacher. The student and the teacher are mirrors of each other, but the student is well aware that if he remains obedient to the teacher, one day he will become the teacher. The teacher is well aware that if he keeps reflecting back to the student that one day he will be the teacher, that he would have to basically say, okay, I can no longer teach you no more. Now you have to go on and pass it on. First rule of 48 Laws of Power. Never let your boss know that you're smarter than him. It took spiritual concepts and turned them into manipulation. Why? Because you're in a competitive, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it makes sense for the culture you live in. Krishnamurti, it is no measure of health to be fully integrated into a toxic society. Well, the 48 laws of power helps you integrate into the toxic society by being what the toxic society is, a system of manipulation. You better not show your boss you smarter than him, because he gonna feel butthurt and insecure, and he gonna be low-key trying to cut you down.
This is true.
So he took spiritual principles and turned them into manipulative principles. Took the light side. This is the Jedi book. I got to teach you how to be a Sith if you're gonna live here. Right? All I'm saying is, man, you could do both. You could support both those brothers' organizations. Right. You could support those organizations. You could fight with those organizations. You could stand in solidarity with those organizations, while at the same time, you could put together a portfolio of homes all over the fucking world. Build some wealth.
That's heavy. I love it. I love it. So yeah, go. You finish out with your question. I know you have your specific questions.
No, it's for Zoe. We would like to introduce your content to our audience who have been asking. So I would love for you to talk about your radio show, the Zoe What Show, your books. We're gonna make sure we have all of it in the description box when we air the video on Monday. But I would like for you to go ahead and plug yourself so that they can find you, because one of the main themes we were noticing is that you are not showing up in their algorithm, despite them having the relationship content flowing on whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We want to figure out ways to open that up so that you start showing up there. We want them to start subscribing and utilizing you as a resource for their life portfolio.
Well, I would say first, everybody should go to my KBLA Talk 1580 show. I'm on with Tavis Smiley weekly, every day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. I'm on 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I mean, and we have relationship shows every day on these topics that we were covering right here. I've been doing this since 2008, 2007. Yeah, 2007. I've been doing this for a long time. I have books. The Shrouded Lighthouse is my latest book that came out in October of 2021. It's a new book. The book is on fire. If I do say so myself, a lot of people have written a lot of positive feedback for the book. It's a very powerful book. So I'm excited about that one. The Shrouded Lighthouse. You go there, you go to theshroudedlighthouse.com. That's how you get that book. Also, the book that many people know me from is The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship. And I'm tired of people taking from these books and not citing their source. Just say, yo, man, I saw a girl on the TV show say, I'm not good at the dismount. I said, what?
Now, Zoe, for context,
and she said it in
one of our shows, we cite you citing Krishnamurti, we cite you citing.
Yeah, we always cite you.
We always cite you citing.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I try to cite everybody I speak of, right? That inspired me. But man, but I said that's the culture we're in. We're a culture of jewel shoppers. Mm-hmm. We want the jewel, we just don't want to mine the jewel. Mm-hmm. But Relationship Dismount is on Amazon.com in multiple formats, paperback, Audible, Kindle, multiple formats. And then the holographic relationship. I spoke heavy about the holographic relationship in this discourse. That's available on Kindle at Amazon.com, or you can order it from my website, IamZoeWilliams.com. So, and I'm working on book number 5. Y'all want to know what the title of book number 5 is?
What's that? Yeah. What's that? What is that?
I kind of don't want to release the topic or the title, but the title, put it this way, book number 5 is unlike any other book I've ever read or wrote. Let's just say.
All right. Okay.
It's going to take us in an entirely different direction. Like the other books were the setup for this one.
Okay.
Gotcha.
This one is a complete departure from what built you into what you are. And that's all. When I tell you this new book is bananas.
Okay.
I've been working on it quietly and I'm excited about it. A lot of my topics are on my Tavis Smiley show.
Okay.
Download the KBLA Talk 1580 app. Also, you can go to Amazon or you can go to Apple Podcast and type in Zoe Williams, Voice of Reason, and about 60 episodes will pop up.
Okay.
Right? But this book has been influencing those episodes. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I just one last thing. We didn't want to keep you too long, but I would like to ask you. I often hear you speak on things like science, physics, quantum field theory. We're going to have a show on quantum field theory, and I would love, to get you back whenever you're free. We can talk about
man, that's my wheelhouse right there.
Go.
I love that.
Okay.
That's my talk, man. That's my talk. I love quantum mechanics, unified field theory. I love that talk, man. The holographic universe, the simulation that we live in. I love that talk, man. You just let me know what time and I'll jump back in with you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, my good brother.
Well, so we want to thank you so much for your time today.
Yes.
The audience is really absolutely going to love the content. We do want to get them shifted over so they can begin to do the work that you've been working on for so many years. The audience may not know this, but you've been an integral part of the thriving of our marriage. We've been married 20 years.
20 years.
And it's one of the reasons why we're so grateful when we talk to you, because
where y'all gray hair? Y'all look young as hell. Y'all been married for 20
we got
years.
an adult upstairs.
Yeah, I got a 21-year-old son upstairs.
And then we got a
What?
baby running around.
What in the world? They look 17 talking about they've been married for 20 years.
We've been married
That's
20
beautiful. I love it.
forever. But we were going through a really rough patch, and we were at the time it was the Zoe what?
That's old school though.
That's
That's
old.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was over. What was the other production you had?
Mansions. We used to watch Mansions.
No, it was the other production you had in the room.
Dash Radio.
Dash Radio, exactly. Dash Radio. Yeah, we was watching heavier Dash Radio. That was
and just spending the time together to listen to your lectures with you and Bobby and Kevin and so on and so forth. You don't know how that breathed life back into our marriage. So when I tell you that the community absolutely needs you, I'm coming from a place of, as a wife who really wanted her husband, and from a husband who really wanted to be with his wife. You're needed in the community because we know what the fruits of your work actually comes out to. So
that means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. And like I said, you know, I don't jump on anybody's show, so you guys matter. So anytime y'all call me, you let me know.
Thank you so much. You have a great day. We're always praying for the young lion. We think about him like we think about our son.
He's in Italy right now. So.
Is he?
Oh, in Italy. Okay.
Yeah, he's in Italy.
And his beautiful baby.
She's
getting big with her popsicle self.
I've seen
yes.
Talk about still gotta go get them popsicles, right?
Yeah, she'll be here Saturday, and I got popsicles in the refrigerator.
But thank you so much. You have been a blessing to us and to the community in general. And we're hoping we can get you back with
Yeah, we're gonna do the
unified field theory.
unified field theory, quantum field theory. We're gonna chop it up with that.
If they ready for that, I'm in. Let's do it.
All right.
All right, though,
Bye.
man. Thank you.
Guys
Thank you
later.
so much to God, man. Salute to the God.
Bye-bye.
Yes.